Good evening. A little late on the Reddit questions of the week, especially if you guys are regular viewers of the series and suggestions box and hot takes and stuff. But that's because I was busy this week. It actually gives me like a week off during the actual like Christmas Eve, Christmas Day and stuff because my family does celebrate it. So we'll be back. So we have this week's episode and next week's around the same time and then slowly try to inch back towards like earlier in the week kind of stuff. All right, here we go. First question of the week. As Ana, many times I use nades to heal. Is it wrong? Ana main and diamond. Many talk about how important it is to use your nades to purple the enemies or anti-nade them, right? But you won't find someone speaking about how nades are useful to save your friends. Sometimes I use nades not to attack enemies, but to save my team. If I realize that I won't be able to provide enough healing during an important fight, I just forget the enemies and throw the nade on my friend to give them a quick and nice amount of HP, and also a boosted percentage of healing received. In other words, I use nades to provide more healing and keep my friends alive. By the way, sometimes I do that with nano boost too. For example, if Mercy's trying to res my tank during a very important fight, I nano her so I can protect her ass and have the tank back in the fight. I even use it on Mei already if we don't have a tank and need to hold the ground. Should I stop doing that? Am I getting low value nades by doing this? No, it's not necessarily wrong, but again, it really just depends on the context of the situation. Obviously, purpling and anti-ing the enemies gives you the highest probability of killing a person, but saving your teammate is also pretty much equally important, right? Think of Overwatch this way, a numbers game, 5 versus 5 in its current iteration, right? Can you eliminate an enemy, make it a 5v4? Or if your teammate's about to die, it would be a 4v5 and you nade them early on and save them so to keep the numbers even. And then they stay alive and have the potential to kill some people and make it back into your favor. So generally speaking, it's not wrong to use heal nades, but when people say you should use it to purple, the offensive nade probably going to swing you the fight harder than saving a teammate because it's proactive, it's a chance to eliminate someone versus saving someone, which keeps the neutral number, and then have to wait for the potential of them killing someone versus you anti-ing them and just killing them yourself. I don't know if my finger gestures are even helping. Does that make any sense? But that's not always going to be the case. You're not always going to have good opportunities to do offensive anti-purple nades, right? To save your team, that can also be the right choice at that exact time. Throwing them to give them a nice quick amount of HP, especially if they're in immediate danger, especially your tank like your Ryan's getting backpedaled because he's getting shot like crazy. You might have to just nade him and pump some shots with the amplified healing to save him, and that's the best probable play right there. Unless, you know, 4 of them walk in a clump and your Ryan's backing up and you can literally get a free 4-man anti onto the enemy and kill one immediately. And that one could be more valuable than your Ryan, depending on the situation. It's all context dependent, but do you see what I mean? You kind of have to judge it based on how the game is going, but the general rule is the offensive anti-nade is a little better, but no, it's not wrong. Same thing with nano boost. Like if rezzing that tank during an important fight to keep her alive is higher value, you should do it. It's not necessarily wrong. It's not always going to be a wrong play because what if the tank your Mercy is rezzing in the front line has a big important ultimate like Graviton Surge or Sigma Flux, right? That could be game changing. Way more than sitting there and sitting on your nano boost and waiting for the perfect opportunity. Like if you're Ryan is swinging in and going ham, like he made a bad mistake, but you can turn the fight with that, then go for it. Like using ultimates is just a resource. Like Overwatch at its base is a numbers game and a resource trading game to get those numbers into your favor. And if your teammates, they're not always going to make the right choices all the time, right? Like no one's playing this game perfectly. So if they're making a bad choice to go in, but your nano boost can enable them and make it turn the fight in your favor, you just use it there. That's always the right play. The right play is the one that gives you an advantage in some capacity, hopefully a bigger advantage than not using it, because not using it is also like pretty bad because people end up lapping so much ultimate charge that they could have used, or if they decide to hold it, it was the right choice because that was a lost team fight anyways. But that, now I'm just gonna keep on rambling on more nano boost usages, but TLDR, I answered the question. It's not wrong. How good is a diamond player? Hello, I'm a Kiri main. I mostly play quick play with my girlfriend who is low plat, and I'm sitting at diamond 3, almost diamond 2. She feels like she's not as good as me since we're at different ranks, but I always tell her that she could be as high rank as me because I feel like there's certain things she's better at than me. Am I just underrating myself as a diamond player, or am I overrating her? I don't feel like we're that far apart. Diamond is a very high rank in the game. Relatively speaking, that's like better than 90% of the player base, 80 to 90% if I had to guess. Not sure what the true number is, but remember there's an overwhelming majority of players who don't touch a lick of ranked. And maybe if they had to quantify their skill, I think average in the game is gold 2, if I'm not mistaken. So if you're in diamond, you're way above. You're in the 80, 90th percentile. So don't feel bad if you're hard stuck plat, hard stuck diamond. The whole plat chat meme is a meme online on forums like this because you're beyond a casual. There's complete casuals who are completely offline Reddit, offline communities, and don't browse that. They just literally boot up their Xbox, PlayStation, or PC and play in silver for like 8 years. I have a friend from high school, not in Overwatch, but he's a League of Legends player. He has played over like 6,000 League games in the past like 13 years, and he's never been higher than bronze 2, but he just plays because he just likes the game, and he doesn't read any online stuff to actually get better. He just likes to click Caitlyn, Kiraman, and just try to click heads as ADC on the bottom. But diamond in Overwatch, very good. Don't feel bad about that. Oh, another nano boost question. Who to nano, my tank or DPS? Hi guys, I'm an Ana with almost 400 hours on Ana and I still struggle, don't roast me, with who to nano when my tank is very low and my DPS has ult like a visor or blade. When in a fight, who do you think I should nano when it comes to that? Because after that, my tank lives, but then my DPS probably gets mad at me and asks why I didn't nano them, but then doesn't get a lot of value from their ult right after. I usually nano tank because, you know, he has the most health, and I feel like with them up, we're more likely to win the fight. Also, sometimes nanoing depends on if their tank is alive. So if I nano tank, but if not, I nano my DPS, I guess, to get the others. What do y'all think? It's never a question of who to nano, my tank or my DPS. Your priority of nano should be whoever needs it in that specific situation. Offensive DPS capability, tank survivability, maybe survivability in the back line. Sometimes you nano your other support. Sometimes you nano someone who, like a 200 HP Zenyatta, 250 HP Zenyatta behind you who doesn't have Transcendence, and you got stuck by a Tracer Pulse Bomb because your nano boost instantly heals them to full, and it gives them 50% damage reduction to help them live through abilities like that. So your goal, offensive one, is really good. Tank survivability for space and holding space, like nanoing a Winston and whatever, is really good, and nanoing to keep someone alive, also very good. There's many types of nanos, not just 2 options here. So to answer this question, the takeaway is that it depends. I know people hate this answer, but it really does. But like, I guess the one takeaway is that you thought there were only 2 options, but in reality, there's literally 4 options because you're Ana and you can nano 4 other teammates at one time, and they're all viable in different situations. But again, if I had to weigh them, probably the highest kill potential is a nanoed DPS ultimate, depending, again, it depends, depending on the ultimate. Nano blade, great. Nano visor, kind of bad. I don't like it that much. And there's more counters to that. And it depends if they run a diva. Depends on where you are on the map. Depends where the soldier's playing. You see where I'm kind of going with this? But if you had to prioritize, DPS ultimate, probably tank next, and then whoever else needs it to survive is my quick and dirty guess. But please don't use these rules as like a KarQ said it, you should do it in this order, but like, no, I didn't, because like your situation could be that one where like it's not supposed to be in that order, you know what I mean? How do I play against hitscans effectively as a Reaper? I'm a Diamond 3 Reaper main, and I'm having difficulty climbing due to me struggling with hitscans every single game, whether it be Sojourn, Ashe, Cass, or Widow. What usually happens is the enemy DPS swaps one of these heroes the second I get value, and then I'm stuck for the rest of the game. I've tried everything I could possibly think of, playing cover, ignoring the hitscan in hopes my team will kill them, asking for help jumping the hitscan, dueling the hitscan myself, which ends up with me using Wraith to dodge a cooldown like Cast, Nade, Railgun, or Coach Gun, and I'm left without an escape tool, or they are pocketed by both supports, and the entire team turns around just for me, waiting for my tank to engage first and improving my strafing, all to no avail, sadly. Typically, the tanks I get only like to play frontline tanks and not dive, and refuse to swap when I ask them nicely. I also am aware I should improve my own abilities and not use teammates as an excuse for losing all the time, so here's my question. What can I do in a situation where me and my team are getting rolled by a hit scan or 2, and we do not have a dive tank? You're diamond, so like you're already got good Reaper fundamentals. The biggest thing is to not be seen and to not let the hit scan use range to their advantage. That's the whole shtick. That's where you lose. If they see you first, you probably die. You get shot once in the body by Ashe, you might have to be forced to either Wraith in to continue engaging on her, or it probably forces you to Wraith form out. Your timing is probably the big thing. Your pathing and timing, especially if you want to specifically mark them. Obviously, if you're ignoring them and just blasting their tank, that's fine, in hopes that your team deals with the hit scan, especially if it's more reasonable that your other DPS is a hero that can challenge them. But if not, and you want to challenge that hit scan, which is I guess your main question, you cannot be seen. If they see you first, you get flushed out, you probably have to leave, and then you just waste all this time because you have to spend time leaving. The DPS sees you're gone, and then they can continue outputting value into the fight while you have to stick there and reposition and figure out what to do next, which is why Reaper is a very high risk, high reward if you play that specific playstyle. But you got to recognize that and maybe like adjust accordingly. But anyways, let me, again, I yap and ramble way too much. So again, cannot be seen, know the map, find the right pathing, do not shoot until you're close. The thing is, some Reapers, even in Diamond, even in map, even in GM, okay, maybe not so much GM these days, but like if a Reaper, let's say Dorado second, high ground, TP'd up to church, sees the Ash scoped in, and the Reaper, like, they're still like 5 meters away and they shoot one time, thinking they can still press W, get close enough to shoot second and then third shot. You don't ever want to make it to the third shot, especially if you already have the jump on them. Wait till you're literally as close as you think you can possibly get to two-shot them that they can't react. Because good players get better reaction speed. You're in Diamond already. If you shoot too early, where you kind of tickle them, a good Ash would be like, holy shit, I just got shot by a Reaper. 180, boom. Coach gunned, they already created too much distance, then you probably lose that. Close the distance as much as you can. Do not let them get the first shot on you. Wait till they're occupied, and that comes with the timing part I mentioned earlier. Timing is everything when you're playing a flanker. Being that opportunist in timing. That is how you play a good Genji. That's how you play a good Tracer. That's how you play a good flanking Reaper. Now that the 6v6 mode is out, should I just heal bot in 6v6? Hello, I'm a support player who started at Season 8, and I've been playing mainly BAP and Kiri, though I can flex at other heroes. The most consistent piece of advice I've been hearing about playing support is I should be proactive and do damage while healing, not just heal bot. The gas has been working fine in context of 5v5. However, I don't feel like this works in 6v6. I've been trying to play Kiri the same way I'm used to, but I simply can't find an opportunity to flank or do a play because someone is always critical or I can't find an empty flank. At some point I realized maybe Kiri won't work and I should probably just play Juno. I thought about Lifeweaver since he has high healing, but I really dislike his playstyle. I found myself heal botting most of the time, which isn't really exciting gameplay wise. Am I missing something? Do I need to make further adjustments, or is this just how it is? Thank you in advance. It's twofold. Yes, you should never just heal bot. You should definitely still try to find damage where you can, but 6v6 tends to lend itself more to a heal bot style to be more effective more often on average. And the reason obviously is because there's an extra person on your team, an extra tank to be healing who is consistently taking damage, and the enemy team has an extra person, an extra off tank outputting damage onto your team. So it naturally lends itself to a more heal bot style where you win by ultimate usage more so than individual flanking playmaking as a support. Supports in 5v5 have more offensive individual agency. In 6v6 by nature, they are generally just healing to build ult and winning off good timing and good tempo and good usage of the ultimates on average. So should you just heal bot? No, but it is a little bit tougher. Second, it's actually not completely your fault. As much as it lends itself to the natural heal botting, more like healing priority playstyle, right now everybody playing 6v6 has been playing 5v5 for 2 years. A single tank 5v5, Orisa or whatever, is usually the raid boss. They have so much HP, they have more durability. Like Orisa in 6v6 gets headshot in 4 to 5, has like 150 less armor, blah, 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 blah. But everybody who's trying 6v6 right now is playing it like a 5v5 tank, and they're playing it too fast and not playing in enough cover, and they're taking way too much damage, and they don't know the previous 6v6 style. Maybe they used to play, but they've forgotten it over the 2 years. Or maybe these guys are brand new Overwatch 2 players, never played with 6v6 Overwatch 1, where the game is slowed down a lot back then. Very brawly, very scrappy, but they're just too aggressive, taking too much damage, and forcing you to heal bot a lot more right now. So again, that part's not on you. But yeah, you heard my answer. It does kind of lend itself to heal a lot more, but don't just heal bot. I'm really starting to hate Clash. How are you supposed to play it? I don't understand how you are supposed to play this mode optimally. I just played a game where we went 5-4, yet we felt like we absolutely steamrolled. The issue is we kept failing to capture the final point because it's almost fucking impossible because their spawn is so close, and then we lost the second to last point. Then we managed to win the final middle point. So of all the game, the fights were on the enemy half, yet we were only one fight away from losing. Never felt more pissed off after a win. For context, this was a scoreboard. Okay, I'm aware stats don't often mean much, but I just mean how I felt the game went. Steamroll lines up pretty well with the scoreboard. Steamroll in this instance. Unironically, we would have won the game less closely if we won 2 points, then deliberately lost 3 points to make it 2-3, and then win the remaining one 5-3. Is there anything to consider in this game mode and how to approach the attacking final point? Either we use too many resources for not even third, or maybe not enough and just go back and forth like a game, or is the skill gap in this game much closer than I thought? I can't help but feel that one of the reasons the scoreboard is inaccurate because of how game modes like this work and the order of fights in them. Yeah, you're not wrong. I've definitely had games where I was steamrolling the whole game and then we barely lost, or I've straight up lost the game even though we won everything and they kept scoring points by winning the last one. The last point is absolutely the hardest point to capture. It really is, and it's not all on you. You only need a tick for a point. So the general takeaway on Clash that most people do on an average ranked solo queue game is you don't overcommit on the last one. You kind of just feel out the neutral, especially when you cap the 4th point and you wait on the 5th. You kind of feel it out and see if the enemy team makes a bad positional error. And if you see if you can get a clean pick, after that, then you can just dump everything because getting a tick is worth it. That's a whole ass point. But if not, you should just kind of just relax and chill and wait for that mistake. People make mistakes all the freaking time. It's just a matter of people capitalizing it at your rank, whether it's you or your entire team. Yeah, unfortunately, 3rd point is just rough, or last point is just rough, and that's usually how it goes. No matter if you win most of it, and it's always down to that one final fight. Yeah, and that's the biggest gripe with the mode for a lot of people, so it's not just you. That's what it is optimally. Don't overspend on the final point unless someone makes a mistake. That's the takeaway point. Skill gap, if it's a ranked match, it's not as wide as you think because everyone is supposedly the same rank if you don't account for like potentially boosted accounts and whatnot. So it's just an execution, a macro execution, people being tilted and, you know, a bunch of other factors. Is it better to feed and get kills or to not feed and just apply lesser amounts of pressure? I one-trick venture, and oftentimes it's impossible for me to apply any pressure because of my range and map geometry, and vice versa. Sometimes it's incredibly difficult for me to get kills on my bad maps. So, is it better for me to just be trading, or just to go on off angles and kind of bug them, or deep flanks? I know this depends on the comp and map, but like generally, what do you guys think? So I was about to answer it like this, generally. Sorry, like it depends. But generally, better to feed and get kills? Depends if you're feeding 1-for-1. 1-for-1 is not usually worth it unless your spawn room is inevitably, inexcusably closer to the objective. And it depends who you're getting picked. There's too much it depends, man. Not feeding, surviving has overall higher value output and uptime because there's a higher potential to not feed, but to actually get a 1-0 trade and actually pop off. So I would say not feeding in general, and continue applying pressure. I wouldn't say lesser amount of pressure, but like surviving versus dying and going 1-for-1. Unless you're on defense 3rd point where the spawn is right next to you, then sure, go for the 1-for-1. But yeah, I would say not feed. That's the general answer. You got the rest of it though with venture and like, you know, it really depends on your range and map and yeah. Okay. Fundamentals of playing Hazard. Blizzard shared that Hazard is sitting at a win rate of 55%. I think it's 56% in Masters Plus. So apparently everyone but me has figured out how to play this hero. It seems like he's more well-rounded dive tank, and the idea is to trap people with your walls, go for supports, and just abuse the block, but I just get melted. Any insights into this gameplay loop? I played a lot of Hazard in custom games. I probably have like 10 hours on him. He's been out for like a week and a half, but I've been playing a lot of Marvel Rivals, but 10 hours of Hazard, I would say. I'm definitely popping off on him a lot, and the biggest thing is your Jagged Wall. That's your bread and butter cooldown. That's like the Winston bubble equivalent. If you're burning that randomly in bad spots, sometimes you have to wait for it and wait a little bit before hard engaging. And if it's an individual at a position, sometimes you throw it on there to boop them into your leap range for a slash. If not, the wall is there to basically kind of like annoy the tanks and make them make a mistake and then leap onto the squishies. Hazard is not really a duel the other tank hero. He is made to punish smaller HP pools like DPSs and supports. If you're trying to brawl against like a Reinhardt, you're going to lose. He's a pseudo dive. He's not like a true dive because his leap does not cover as much distance as a Winston, as a Diva booster, as a Doom, as a Ball. Kind of in between. So he's a little map dependent, but you really just want to be staging and trying to get as close as possible without taking a lot of damage. Maybe if you have no choice but to shoot the tank, you shoot the tank, but like your whole goal is to try to kill the squishies. That's the big gameplay. That's the big gameplay loop. Feel it out until you can either wall a squishy out and or pressure them so much with your shots right now, which are buffed, make them run and then boop them back and then close the gap. If not, if they are literally playing so far back and spacing you out, then yeah, you shoot the tank and maybe wall him off and see if your team can capitalize. One more tip for Hazard right now that I saw that a lot of champion level Hazard players are saying is that you have to learn how to bunny hop with him to delay your slash, because it gives you more windows of opportunity to find a better opportunity to use it. More opportunities to use it more effectively. That's a better way to describe it. Basically what you do is when you leap, you hold your jump button and make sure you do this. And that extra bounce gives you more time to use the violent slash or the follow-up slash, which is the big burst. It's like 100 whatever damage. If you just leap and you don't use it and you put your 2 feet on the ground without the bounce, the bonus slash damage is over. But the extra bounce allows you to cross more distance, allows you to bounce and maybe pick a different direction, or even 180. So it gives you just a bigger margin of error in case you, especially if you like over leap like a target, and you're like, oh shit, you can 180 slash, or if it's too late, bounce, and then go back and kill them. A couple good tips there. All right, last one. Tip requested when you're being hard focused by the enemy team. Hello, I've been playing a bit of ranked lately. I noticed if a player starts off pretty well, the enemy team tends to not just start counter swapping, but also coordinate diving that player for the duration of the match. I primarily play Widowmaker, so I fully expect to get counter swapped and dove, especially if I get some early picks in the first fight. But my question is, what do you do when you are being hard focused and dove? I typically swap at this point and try to play safe distances, but it minimizes my value to the team. Is it best to play back, prioritizing survival, trying to make them waste resources on me and to rely on my team for the rest? Or is it better to embrace death and attempt to get a pick before dying? Any advice would be appreciated. Prioritize surviving. If it's a single person diving you, you have a legitimate chance to fight them back. But getting hard, when you say hard focused, one person jumping you isn't being hard focused. I'm assuming you're being jumped by 2 or 3 or more people. So your priority is to play Dead by Daylight. If you can sit there and survive and bait out resources, that is so good for your team. That is making space for your team. That is relieving pressure from everybody else because they're not shooting them. They're only looking and focusing on you. When people say they get hard focus, obviously there are times where you literally can't do anything about it. But if you see they're sending 2 people after you, literally making them see you and then hiding behind cover and then trying to like buy 3, 4, 5 seconds is a long time in Overwatch. Don't just like ego peek and try to like go for the 1v2. Like sometimes that works depending on your hero, like Widow and stuff, but like if you pull them away for 5-10 seconds, that is incredibly valuable for your team. It's not always going to work out where they can use that time effectively and actually do something with it. But like every time you do it, there's a higher chance that it will happen, and that is your best bet when you're being hard focused. That is truly the best tip. Waste time, waste resources. That's like you're like pseudo tanking in a sense, right? Think about what a tank does. They stand there, they try to draw the attention of 2-3 people shooting at them so they don't shoot the rest of the team. They give your DPSs and support space to do their job. You're like a tank in the back line in a sense that you're drawing aggro from 2-3 people. Now you must survive. You don't have the tanking tools like a shield or like a survivability button or whatever, but you just have to buy time. That's it. That's it for the Reddit questions this week. Thank you and happy holidays. See you guys next week. Peace.